What up, peep? Surprise, surprise. It's not Sunday, it's Wednesday. We got a special guest. That's what's going on here today. We're going to be talking to Mr. Wright. Mr. Wright going to share his story of his tremendous changes that he's made throughout his journey in the fitness world. And we're very excited about it. And so if you got a pen and paper, you might want to listen to this because this guy's going to tell you some good stuff that you might can use yourself. So I'm going to let my big darkness go ahead and introduce him since it's his guest. And so we're going to go from there.
So what's up, everybody? You know how we do this. It's not Sunday. It's not Sunday. We're on a Wednesday. So, you know, what we let everybody know. Yeah, we got a young man, I think we kind of met, man. You were doing some CT Fletcher imitations back in the day. And that's when we linked up. But you have a fantastic journey. His name is MrWright, aka Right to Be Fit,
Right
78.
Fit. Yes, sir. That's it.
And you have amazing fitness journey, weight loss journey. And we're just gonna let you tell the story, man, and we'll go from there.
So growing up, I was always what they used to call back in the day a husky kid. So I was always a big kid. My mother was and still is to this day an amazing cook. Cook everything from scratch. So I grew up on soul food. It was just, all the wrong stuff I shouldn't have been eating. But as time went on, it just started to catch up with me. So after my days of playing football and stuff, you get married, life gets to life and on you, you get a job. I turn around. So when I was playing football, I was about 260, which was cool. Leave football, get married, kids come along, look up one day, and I'm 473 pounds. And, going on, as time went on, I knew I was gaining weight, but I was in denial about how big I was actually getting. And it wasn't until, 2018, I got really sick, didn't know what was going on, thinking I had an upper respiratory infection, just having a hard time breathing one day, go to the hospital. Blood pressure was 220 over 210. And I'll never forget, my doctor was a black lady, and she was just like, boy, you a walking stroke. And she just put it to me like that. And I remember the particular hospital was under renovation, so they were moving a lot of stuff around. So I remember they wanted to weigh me, and they had a scale inside of the hospital. And I remember being too big not to be weighed on that scale. Mm-hmm. And the most humbling thing I think I ever had to go through, they literally walked me out back to the loading dock of the hospital, and I had to get weighed on one of them big industrial scales that they weigh freight on. And I remember getting on that scale, and I was 4. And when that 473 popped up on that scale, that's when it really, really hit me that, oh shit, I don't know if we can cuss on here. My apologies, but
you
like,
can.
oh my, I don't know with it. Just got to make sure. But I remember seeing that number, and it really hit me that I had been lying to myself all of these years, really, really lying to myself. And that's when it hit me that I needed to do something. And it was interesting because my wife had already started the process. She was telling me that she wanted to have weight loss surgery because her father had passed away. Her father had got really sick, and they needed to do a CAT scan on him. And I remember them telling us that they couldn't do a CAT scan on this man because he was too big. He wouldn't fit inside the machine to get the CAT scan. So for her, that was like her breaking point. It was like, okay, I got to do something. So she had started the process, and she was like, man, I'm going to have weight loss surgery. And I was just like, well, you can do that. I'm not doing that. But when I saw that 473 and then my blood pressure being as high as it was, I knew like I had to do something. So I tell people all the time, when it comes to the weight loss surgery, so April of 2019, I had weight loss surgery. But I knew going into it, like that was just a tool for me. It wasn't going to be the thing that was going to help me transform my body and get me in the shape that I wanted to be in. So as I researched it, I knew I was like, okay, I just got to use this as a kickstart. The minute they cleared me from having weight loss surgery, I was in the gym and been in that gym ever since. So as I work with people now that are on, especially their bariatric journey, I'm like, look, don't go into this thing thinking I'm just going to have weight loss surgery and that's all you got to do. Yes, you will lose weight, but if you are not making the real lifestyle changes and getting your ass in that gym, you're going to put the weight back on. I work with a brother right now. He had surgery. He had weight loss surgery 3 months before I had it in 2019. He's bigger now than he was before he had the surgery. And I use him as an example, like, okay, Don't just go into this thing thinking that this is going to be all you got to do. You really, really have to make real lifestyle changes. And that's the thing that I want to preach to people as I go along on this journey. Like, look, you can look at my story, but don't compare your story to mine, because everybody's journey is going to be different. But if you are not in the mind space to know that, hey, I really got to still put some work in, I wouldn't recommend this shit for anybody, because it can be difficult. Like for me, being a bariatric patient, having to prioritize my protein and not being able to eat a lot of food. I can only eat very small portions of food at the time, so I have to prioritize my protein and make sure I get my protein in, make sure I'm getting my right vegetables in and all that
Right.
stuff. So it can make it a very, very difficult process. But I stuck to the plan that I had, and having somebody, you brought up CT earlier. CT has been like one of the main catalysts that really got me on a program after weight loss surgery to really understand that weightlifting, like, and don't get me wrong, I'm not crapping on cardio or any of that thing, but the thing that has really been beneficial to me all these years of keeping this 265 pounds off I lost is weightlifting. Weight training
Right.
has been amazing for me to help me keep this weight off. So I preach that to anybody. My wife is another one. She's lost over 200 pounds as well, but she was very leery about weightlifting, but she's starting to see the benefits of it. I think women go into this thing thinking that it's going to make them bulky and all of that stuff.
Right.
That's not necessarily true. So, I mean, my goal now is I work with bariatric patients, but I also work with other people who are just on their weight
Michael,
loss journey, because I know how beneficial it is.
Michael, let me ask you a question though.
Yeah.
So people out there understand you have bariatric surgery, right? Could you explain that a little bit so people out there that might be thinking about it or that don't know, give us a little bit more education on that?
So there are different procedures. When I had mine done, so they have I had what they call a gastric sleeve. So basically they just made 4 small incisions in my midsection. They took out 80% of my stomach. So I have a very, 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 very small stomach. Even April of 2025 will be 6 years since I had surgery, and still to this day, I can still only eat small portions of food. But then you got the gastric sleeve, which is what I had. You have the gastric bypass, which a lot of places don't do anymore because it's so invasive. So basically, they just rerouting your intestines and all that stuff. I did not want to deal with that process. They have the lap band surgery, which is another one. So it's different versions of it. But I tell people anytime, if you're thinking about doing a bariatric surgery, do your research. Research. Don't just take my word for it. Don't take somebody else's word for it that you saw on the internet. Actually go in and understand what these processes are and what kind of changes you're really going to need to make going forward after you have that procedure.
So, Mr. Wright, I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
I too also agree with the weight loss for as basic training, but isn't it fact that some type of food gonna have to come into play? I mean, you're not eating the same foods, right? So the people who are listening, what type of food intake were you, like per meal? Were you taking in like 200 calories per meal, and it consisted of what?
Yeah, so right now, like, I do a lot of chicken, turkey, stuff like that, do my vegetables, have a carb. But the problem is, because I can only eat so much at a time, I have to kind of graze throughout the day just to make sure that I'm getting the right amount of protein in, making sure I'm getting the right amount of carbs in, making sure I'm getting the right amount of vegetables in. So I have to be very strategic on how I eat. So I try to eat every couple of hours, but it's just very small portions of food that I have to eat. But I mainly focus on chicken. I'm noticing as the years go along after having weight loss surgery, stuff like red meat is not necessarily agreeing with me like it used to. So I pull back off the red meat. So most of my diet now, as far as meat is concerned, is basically turkey, chicken, fish every now and then. I've never been a real big fish eater, but that's mainly what I focus on now as I eat.
So do you have an actual calorie count diet, or are you a macro count diet?
So that's the thing. As far as like the macros, like I've never been big on counting calories and all of that stuff. That's just
Okay.
never been my ministry. I've never counted calories. I'm just mindful about what I eat throughout the day. So I know, and now I'm going through this weird stage where I'm fighting the sweet tooth cravings. They are like jumping on my ass. I'm serious these days. So it's that kind of fight. But on an average day, I'm not really counting calories. I'm just making sure that, okay, I know I need my protein, my carbs. So I'm kind of eating the same thing every day. It's chicken, fish, rice, broccoli, string beans, some kind of vegetable, stuff like that.
So
So I'm not really a macro.
you're eating pretty clean then on a daily
Yeah,
basis.
for the most part. Yep. And don't get me wrong, I never try to paint this picture like I'm perfect on this journey. I still screw up every now and then. You know, if me and the wife go out or something, like I've never, like I said, the sweet tooth is the thing that I'm really fighting now, trying to cut back on the, snacking on the cookies and the cakes and stuff like that. That's been a big struggle for me. So that's something that I'm fighting through now. But yeah, I would say 80% of the time I'm eating pretty clean.
Okay, so let me ask you another question. Okay, so you lost 200 and over 260 some pounds.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you started working out, then you have another surgery to help with your skin or anything?
So I had a lot of loose skin. So I had what they call a 360 belt lipectomy. So after I lost like the first 150 pounds, I had a lot of loose skin on my midsection and on my back. So I went in and had a 360 belt lipectomy. Basically what that is, they just make a 360 cut around your pelvic area, take that loose skin, pull it down, cut it, stitch you back up. That process was very taxing on me because for like 6 weeks after that surgery, because they did a full cut around my midsection, I had to literally walk hunched over. I couldn't stand up straight for about 6 weeks. Walking or just moving in general was very, very tough. But I had to get the loose skin off because losing that much weight and having that much loose skin was made it very, very hard for me working out. And also it became you got to try to keep that area clean. It's easy for it to get infected with all that loose skin. So getting that off was a major deal. So I still have a lot of loose skin on my chest and on my arms. I'm not doing any more surgeries. The midsection one was the stuff that was really bothering me. So that's why I made a focus on getting that taken care of. Everything else I can deal with. So I'm done getting cut on at this point.
Awesome.
But when you look at you now, you see your muscle, your muscle definition and everything is coming in. So the things you're doing obviously are right. So how many days a week do you work out, and what kind of workout regimen are you going through right now?
So I'm still using CT's training method. He's the one that got me started. So the man ain't steered me wrong since. So I still use his training app every day. So me and my wife train together 5 days a week. We trained at least 2 or 3 days with CT, which has been very beneficial to him because he had went a while where he had stopped training.
Right,
After his heart
exactly.
transplant
Right.
and all of that stuff he was going through, he had really, really stopped training. So once we started training with him, it got him motivated to get back into the gym as well. So like 2 or 3 days a week, we're training with him. He's also training my wife who got the weightlifting bug. So now she's bench pressing and all of that stuff. So he's training her on the bench press and strict curl and all of that stuff. So we, so on average about 5 days a week, normally Monday through Friday, just depending on my work schedule, sometime on the weekends, but at least 5 days a week.
Good. Awesome.
So during this time, before you got the surgery, my thought process before you got the surgery, and you were slowly gaining the weight besides the scale that brought it to your attention, because a lot of people out there, the same as you stated, is that in denial, so you don't really notice the weight. So if you can share with people who you think may be going through the same denial process and how they should recognize the signs before the scale, what would you tell them?
When I look back on that time, I'm just looking at, so I keep certain pair of clothing just to remind me of how far I've actually come. So I had got up to like a size 60 pants, 5, 6X shirt, depending on the style of the shirt. Those were the early signs. Like I'm constantly going. Every year I'm buying new clothes. First I'm in a 2X, then I'm in a 3X, then I'm in a 4X, then I'm in a 5X. Those should have been gradual signs that I should have picked up on. And it's not that I didn't pick up on them. When I think back on it, it was just like I saw all the signs there, but I just didn't want to admit to myself that I was actually putting that much weight on. So what I tell people now is like, don't lie to yourself. And I know that's easier said than done, but don't lie to yourself. You see the signs. You know you eating the wrong stuff. You see that your energy is depleting. You see that you are constantly having to buy new clothes all the time because you can't fit the stuff. And it's not, oh, it's shrunk in the dryer. None of that shit. No, you're putting the weight on. It's just having to really do some self-reflection. And that's something I didn't do when I was heavy at all, was really, really take a look at the mirror and understand what it was that I was looking at. And it's crazy now because I go through these weird stages where I talk a lot about body dysmorphia. There's a lot of times I'm 207 pounds now. When I look in the mirror sometimes, I still see that 473-pound guy staring at me. And it's like, as much as I thought I got rid of that guy, like physically I've got rid of him, but sometimes mentally he's still there. So I really have to fight that demon and understand, like, okay, Michael, you put the work in, you got rid of that guy, but I think I'm so hell-bent on not getting back to that size that sometimes I let it, fuck with me mentally, and I shouldn't do that. But I tell people all the time, just look in the mirror and really, really, we always people talk about being real all the time, but if you can't be real with yourself, the expectation is you can't expect anybody else in your circle to be real with you. My mother saw it, my wife saw it, everybody saw it.
And nobody said anything.
No, that's the thing. They would say certain things, but it was me. It was me that I had to get together. It wasn't until I was ready or had to go through something, and I hate that I had to go through something like damn near dying to get to this point, but sometimes the people around us can tell us the stuff, but if we're not honest with ourselves, it's not going to make any difference.
Exactly. Yep. And the thing is, we're all into fitness now, and and this is one of the reasons why me and Robert started our show. It's hard for people to understand that, and we say this all the time, and Robert, I know you hear it, and I know you hear it too, Michael, when people say, I don't have time, I can't, I don't cook these meals, I eat this way, and you see them, and they're struggling, and just like you said, you're a heart attack or stroke waiting to happen, and I don't understand, and like you said, that's the part that hurts me and gets me kind of fired up. It's like, you ain't gonna be able to do nothing else if you're not here. Yep. And Robert, we go through that. I know you see clients or people that leave you or people that want to come and they say, I don't want to pay, or that's too much. I'm like, your life is more valuable than anything. And it is hard. And it is hard for somebody to look in the mirror. You're a former athlete too. You know better. You know what I'm saying? Just like me, and I told Robert my story at one time, man. I was still working out and everything, but I was an administrator at work. So I'm going to eat these power lunches. I'm having steak and potatoes and everything. I blew up to 300 pounds.
Yep.
My nephew sent me a picture because I took a picture with him and his bride. And I'm like, who is that in the picture? It was me. It was me, man. And I'm like, never again, man. And I know better. I'm a bodybuilder. You know what I'm saying? I'm a former athlete. So we know better, but it takes something to make you want to, hopefully it's not a health scare like you had. But a lot of people have the health scare and they still don't do nothing about it.
Yep. And so now, a couple of years after having weight loss surgery, I ended up having an aorta dissection. I was in the garage. This was during COVID. I'm in the garage working out. They had shut all the gyms down. My wife was like, well, just get what you need, put the stuff in the garage. I'm in the garage working out one day. And mind you, at this time, I had already lost 125 pounds, somewhere around in there. In the garage working out, I come up off the bench. I'm sitting up, and I got this pain in my chest, and it's going all the way down to my midsection. Didn't know. I'm thinking, maybe I pulled a muscle. I didn't know what I did. Barely made it into the house. This happened on a Friday. Sunday, I wake up. I'm still having this pain in my midsection. No longer the pain in my chest, but having this pain in my midsection. Didn't know what was going on. I knew I had to go out of town for work that Monday, so I was like, let me just go over to urgent care, get checked out. Go over to urgent care. Sitting in the lobby waiting to be seen. I pass out in the lobby of the urgent care. I break into like a cold sweat. Like I'm freezing, but I'm sweating profusely. Didn't know what was going on. End up passing out in the lobby. They get me to the hospital. Get to the hospital. They were like, what kind of symptoms are you having? I'm telling them about the symptoms. The nurse is like, well, let's just do a CAT scan. Do a CAT scan. They roll me back in the room 5 minutes later. The nurse literally runs in the room. He's like, we got a helicopter coming. We're flying you to University of Maryland. You're going into immediate open heart surgery. I'm like, the fuck are you talking about? Like, he was like, no. They put me on a helicopter, flew me downtown Maryland, get to the hospital. So luckily, after everything happened, I haven't had to have any surgery yet, but I ended up having a descending aorta dissection. And it was just from years of having undiagnosed high blood pressure that took a toll on my body. And even though I had lost all of this weight, it still had messed up the inside of my
Still
body.
had
So I had this
effects.
aorta dissection, and they told me, I'll never forget, I was sitting in the hospital and they were just like, I'm telling them about my weight loss and all that stuff. And I'll never forget the doctor there was like, Michael, I'm gonna be very honest with you about something. He said, had you not lost the weight that you had lost, he said, had this happened and you were as big as you were, he said, I'm 99% sure you would have dropped dead when you were standing there. He said, it just would have been too much stress on your body. So, and after that, they were just like, you can no longer lift weights anymore. They were like, it's just, they were like, we can't have any extra stress on your heart, so no more weightlifting. And I remember going into this deep depression. I was just like, what do you mean? And I had just really, I'm in it. I'm doing it every day. And, CT talks about obsession. It was like, I was obsessed with that thing because it was really, really working for me. And I was seeing my body starting to change. And then just like that, they pulled it from me. And I remember sitting in that hospital room and I called CT. I said, Pops, they told me I can't lift weights anymore. And the only thing that man said to me was, he said, are you dead? I was like, no, Pops, I'm not dead. And he was just like, well, it's still your motherfucking set. So we
So
worked
there
it
it
out.
is.
So yeah, so after about 3 months, they cleared me. So I no longer do any I don't do any heavy lifting. All my weightlifting is all light weights, more reps. And I keep it like that just for the heart health. They don't want me putting any extra stress on my heart or whatever. But that has been super beneficial to me. And I'm really, really glad that I didn't let that initial shock of them telling me I couldn't do that throw me into a really, really, really deep depression. Because it was messing with me really bad to know that something I was really taking to and enjoying was getting pulled from me. So I have to train totally different now, but I'm still getting the results. I'm still looking halfway decent, so I'll take it, man.
Yeah, you be wearing them tank tops every day, man. I'll be checking you out. I'll be like,
Hey,
man, this
bro, I'm
brother,
trying to get like
he
you,
be
bro.
wearing tank tops. Hey, that's
Hey,
Robert. I don't be wearing tank tops, man. I'll be
I'm
covering
trying to
up.
get like you, man. I'm trying to get like you out there all swole up, man. I'll be watching you.
But anyway,
So
man,
man,
go ahead, Robert.
yeah, I just want to say that this is kind of like really cool to kind of hear a story from someone actually who has been through it. A lot of time you hear this on TV, you kind of go, wow, man, that person went through it all. But when you actually get a chance to talk face to face with someone who has sharing the true experience of what went down, it's reality check kicks in real fast.
Yeah.
So you guys out there who are listening to this, man, I know denial is tough. It's almost just something that our bodies continue to, I don't know, it's like a drug. It just continues to produce that thought process through your head that I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay. But I'm going to tie this into my whole thing about ageless protocol. And in order for us to grow old, we got to have some type of steps to make sure that that happens. And number one is nutrition. Number two is training. Number three is rest. And then you repeat. So if all those four things are there, the chance of you actually getting your stuff together is it's better going that route than to kind of just ignore nutrition. Then you go train, or you don't train and you just don't rest ever, and you just up all night and you're partying all night. So all those things have a way of taking away your life real fast. But you are a true blessing to people out there who are following you and hopefully truly listening to your story. And hopefully, you can, I'm a life coach. So you can hopefully you become a life coach of some sort with these people who are going through these things. And you can actually break that ice so that they can realize what's going on.
Yeah, it's interesting because I was very hesitant early on about telling my story because I really didn't think I did anything special. Of course, this alarm is going off. I didn't think I was doing anything special. I did what I had to do to make sure that I was living and here for my family.
Yeah.
So when people like reach out, they're just like, "Oh, your story." I'm just like, I just didn't feel comfortable talking about it. And it wasn't until was that last month. So our first episode when me and CT started our podcast, we had Terry Crews on it. I remember Terry Crews being on the show, and Terry Crews was like, after we got done recording, he was just like, how much weight did you lose? So I'm telling him my story, and he was like, why are you not telling your story to people? And I was just like, well, Terry, it's just not. So he was like, no, you got to tell your story. He said, you may not think you did anything, but there's somebody out there who can take that story and use it and apply it, and it may help them out of a certain situation that they're in. And the more I sat there and thought about it, I'm like, he's right. He's really right. I did what I felt like I needed to do just to make sure that I continue to live and be here. But that may be something somebody else can use as motivation to help them get through their journey. So now I'm trying to be more open with talking about it and telling my story. And hopefully, you know, if it can help one person out there, then I've done my job.
There you go.
And that's it. And that's it. You know, we have to get our stories out. And that's what, we look at all the experiences that we've had, that CT's had that went through, and that's the gist of what we're here for, man. And that's why, man, I'm glad that we got you on and brought you on so people can hear it, man. Because I remember I saw when Terry hit you up, y'all still put that clip on. I saw what you went, it was emotional for you. So
but even after the show, when we got done recording, he was just like, I mean, he got on me, like he was on me bad. He was just like, dude, what are you doing? And he was like, you have an amazing story that could help somebody. He was like, I don't know why you're sitting on that and not telling your story. And I was just like, and he was just like, if I got to help you tell this story, I'll help you tell this story. He said, but it's people that need to hear this story. So hopefully I'll be working with him, in the future doing something. But I mean, like I said, the more I thought about it, he was right. I said, if it can help somebody, then there's no reason I should be sitting on this if it can really help somebody. I've just never been one of them people that like a lot of attention on me and all of that stuff. Like I don't know, it still makes me kind of weird. So now with the podcast with CT, like we're out and people recognize, like I just cringe up when people like, so it's weird, but I'm getting over that part of it. And the more people come out and we're able to go to these fit expos and I'm able to talk to people, like it's a really cool experience to know that, something that I've done in my life is helping somebody else on their journey. So
that's it.
I'm taking it, man.
I see you out there.
And just think about, that's right.
Everybody does have a story, man. Appreciate that.
Yeah. So, you're now, you're in this position that just think you have to go through all of that stuff to be able to come back and share something that could save somebody else's life.
Yeah.
But if you wouldn't have went through that trial and tribulations, you couldn't share this story, nor would you understand it when somebody else is talking about it. So now that's why Terry's probably saying that. It's like, dude, you got to remember what you went through.
Yeah.
That so you can share it with other people so they don't get to that point, because you wouldn't be able to appreciate it unless you went through it. So that's
I sit every day on this podcast with a man who's been through an open heart surgery, has been through all this trauma and all this traumatic stuff, and he still sits there, he tells his story. And I tell him, I ask him all the time, I'm like, Pops, is it weird when we go out to see like grown men walk up to this man in full tears, just tears running down their face? Some of the biggest, strongest men you will ever want to meet. And they're just like, CT, you saved my life by telling your story. Like, your story helped me not to commit suicide, or your story helped me do this, or your story got me up out of that hospital bed. And when I hear stories like that, I'm like it's so much power in that, to know that just something you've been through, we may look at it as a traumatic experience, but because he shares that story, it's helping so many people out of these dark places. And I'm just like, there's no reason I shouldn't tell my story.
You're touching people, man, that you don't even know. People that see you on social media, see you out there. You may not ever talk to them, believe me, but you're touching people, man, and you're healing people. You're helping people heal.
And like I said, that's the weird part when we go out and people just like, we had a guy in Anaheim. I was walking around at the Anaheim Fit Expo, and he was just like, I know you. He was like, you be with CT on the podcast. I'm like, yeah. And he was just like, man, real heavy set guy. And he was just like, man, I really, really, really need to get this weight off. He said, but I hear your story. I see how far you come. And he was like, man, I need your help. And I was just like, okay. And it's like, I can actually help people. And that's the thing that I'm like, if I can help this brother get to where he wants to go, like, why wouldn't I do that? Why wouldn't I take that advantage to help somebody out there that could use some help?
Like they say, our abundance don't always come in money. It comes in giving back. So that's a very good thing when people approach you and say, please help me. That usually don't happen that way, man. So do your thing, man. Make sure you reach and touch everybody you can. Don't be shy, because your story needs to be told. There's a lot of people go to their grave with all these great ideas, and they don't share them with anyone.
Exactly. You ain't lying about that, bro.
Right? And so there's no need for that. So just share all your stories, share it with everybody that want to hear it. And like you said, stay humble about it, because God kept you here for a reason.
Yep.
And
That's how I got to look at it, bro. Like I really got to look at it like there's a reason God kept me here.
Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely.
And if that reason is to help somebody else on this journey, then that's what I'm willing to do. So it's like, you know, not just helping bariatric patients, but I also work with men who have had heart issues like myself that, you know, think they can't train anymore. Like, nah, you can still train. We may have to tweak it a little bit, but there's no excuse for you still not to get in that gym and do something.
Exactly.
Right.
I watched CT for years, for the last, I mean, he's better now, but 3 years ago, I'm telling you, the man could barely stand up. His feet were so swollen. Legs were swollen. Didn't have any energy, but I still watched that man get up and take his ass to that gym. And he was like, son, I may not be able to do what I used to do, but damn it, I'm going to come in here and do something. And even he would just go in there and do some curls or do some tricep extensions. He was like, I got to come in here and do something. There is no excuse for me, no matter what I'm going through, not to come in here and do something. And he lives and breathes that. It's still your motherfucking set like it is no tomorrow. And I watch that man every day. I'm like, if that man, after a heart transplant, after a couple of heart attacks, dying multiple times,
he died,
and can still get his ass up and go to that gym, ain't no excuse for me not to be able to get up and go to that damn gym. None at all. At all. And if I do miss it, he gonna talk so much shit about me, he gonna make me feel terrible about going to that
gym. He'll let you know. CT will let you know. You know that. So he will let you know.
And it was funny because today, after we got done recording, we were supposed to go work out, but he had to run home. He had a visitor coming to the house. And so I was giving him hell. I was like, oh, now you trying to use your visitor not to go to the gym tonight. Then he was like, no, but when this motherfucker leave, guess what? I'm going to go to the gym. I was like, all right, Pops, I'm going to make sure you get in there now.
Man, well, hey, we're glad that you were able to make it to the show, man. We did it on Wednesday, man. We did a special show.
I appreciate that, man.
And we're glad that you came on, man, and happy for you. Happy for all the things that's that you're doing now too, man. Big ups on that on the podcast with CT, man. That's big, man. You know, I'm a big CT fan. You know, me and that brother, we've talked and been through some things as well. So,
bro, we're gonna have to get him on the show then, brother.
You know how we do it. You know how we do it. But
get y'all show, man.
Just tell them real quick, man, before we get out of here, how they can reach you.
You can reach me on Instagram at right2befit78, right2befit_78. Instagram, mainly now I'm going to be doing the F Y'all podcast page, trying to promote the show. You can find the F Y'all podcast on YouTube and Spotify. It's just home of the F Y'all podcast. You can find us there, support the show. We are having a blast doing it. We got some big guests coming up. We got previous interviews with, like I said, Terry Crews, Bill Goldberg, a bunch of professional wrestlers. We got some big names coming up. I can't drop them yet, but we've been it's interesting now. We weren't expecting this thing to take off the way that it did, but it's taking off so fast to the point now where we got people reaching out to us to be on the damn show, which is cool because we ain't gonna run out of no content. But man, it's been an amazing blast. But yeah, definitely the podcast is the big thing now. So you can check us out on YouTube and Spotify. Make sure you like and subscribe. Check out the F Y'all podcast. And for the record, yes, CT named it the F Y'all podcast. He wasn't gonna let me call it nothing else.
For real. And you know how to reach me. You know how to reach me and Robert. We here.
Yeah. You guys know where we're at. Just make sure that you guys go and please like, subscribe, and comment on this. If you got anything that you want to share with Mr. Wright, feel free to send it to us. We'll make sure he get it. But he has already given you his contact, so feel free to reach out to him if you're dealing with any of these demons that will end up making you wish you would have listened to your body from day one, and you can move forward. So nothing but respect and love to you, bro. Appreciate you.
For you too, brother. You know what it is, man. I'm about to get on one of them leg routines with you, brother.
You know how you know how we do. Hey, CT know how we do. I've been there over there before. I'll check with you later, brother.
Yes, sir, man. Thank y'all for having me, brother.
All right.
Peace out.
All right now.